Hi guys, and welcome back to another episode of the Dakr Ages, and yet again we're here in Dakr. So last week I asked you guys to name the mayor of the town, and the one I've picked out of the comments is Wilhelm Wulfgar, which was by Nathan Afferson. I want to just thank all of you guys for putting in the comments and giving me ideas for these, because it really helps me kind of flesh out the town with a lot of kind of names and things like that, makes it more real. And I can actually start writing kind of a story and a lore for the town. So one thing that was actually kind of mentioned in the comments was to build a butcher's shop, and I thought this was a really good idea. And Aaron Rem actually sent in that comment, and it's something that I kind of didn't even think about doing in Dakr at all. So it really did kind of add an extra an extra thing to the actual town. I actually ended up doing it as a kind of more general grocers as well. So that I've actually got melons and stuff and pumpkins on display kind of later on, but you can just see me just kind of laying out this kind of basic frame. It is a bit of an odd shape, this one. I didn't want to go with a standard build, just because it gets used a lot, and I went with this L shape, which gave me this kind of small balcony as well as this kind of back kind of garden area that you'll see me do something with in a minute. So you can just see me kind of laying out this kind of pretty complex roof, but it all kind of works out in the end, which is quite good. Quite glad that it did. I can just see me adding those kind of finer details, and then coming around the front again. I wasn't too happy with what I'd actually done with this in the beginning, so I kind of came back and kind of changed it and tried to make it kind of have a gentler slope. And this is where all of the goods were actually going to be on kind of show, so that the kind of town people can actually see what kind of goods they can buy at this kind of shop. You can just see me kind of adding the extra details on the flower boxes as I make my way around, and then kind of making the small pen outside, and then you can see the kind of end product using nether brack for the actual kind of meat. Another thing I really wanted to try and do for this episode is another 45-degree house that I will be doing a tutorial on. So I kind of spent a lot of time outside of the Dakr Ages to try and come up with a cool kind of idea for doing them, so that you guys can use it in your world, and which has a big enough interior for you guys to do a really nice interior on as well. So you can just see me messing around with the roof, but actually adding this kind of this extra big window on the top. And you can see how kind of complex the roof was. It took me absolutely ages to kind of work at it and try and make it look right. But I think in the end it actually did turn out really nicely. And I can just see me adding the extra kind of finer details, and also the kind of flower boxes, and building this small kind of area at the front, just to get into the actual house. And there's the finished kind of build. Another thing I asked you guys to actually do for last week was to kind of come up with a flag colour, and the one that I actually went with was black and white, which is the same as my actual hometown. So we've gone for a black and white cross. And I can just see me kind of changing out the docks and switching out a load of these blocks for different types of wood. So I actually got this idea from Dakr Games, because it kind of adds a complete kind of mix to it and makes the kind of look more used. One thing, as the kind of Dakr has been progressing and getting bigger, one thing I've kind of lacked is where the actual boundaries of the actual town is. So what I did this week is I've actually kind of decided to set out the actual town walls. And because Dakr was actually planned to be a very small town, I wasn't actually planning to even do these at all. But it's kind of progressed a lot bigger than I actually thought it would, and it kind of it's starting to feel more like a town. So you can just see me adding the portcullis in here. So this is actually going to just kind of set one of the boundaries of the actual kind of walls. That I've also got the other side to do, which I'll do at a later date. And I can kind of see me adding this kind of roof style, the same kind of roof style that we actually established early on in the season with the bridge itself. So I've actually kind of taken that kind of roof style and applied it to this kind of bigger build, and you can see the kind of effect that it does again. It kind of gives it a nice Nordic feel, and I'm really happy with how the actual roof and the style actually worked out. Another thing that was kind of asked for by a couple of you guys, there wasn't anybody in particular, was for a prison. So what I decided to do is I decided to kind of incorporate it in the end kind of bit of this wall here. So I've kind of built this big prison tower, and at the minute it doesn't look like that much at all. I've just got these kind of simple shapes coming onto it, but this is how I kind of start all of my bigger, especially tower builds. Just kind of get the real basics done. and then chip at it and kind of add these extra bits. And you can just see me adding these kind of corner window pieces, which have got the iron bars in, as there's going to be cells there. Then adding those finer details as well as on the top. And I can just see me adding the flags to the front gate. And also what I wanted to do on this, because it had a really big rooftop, is to build a catapult. So this is my first catapult. Tell me what you guys actually think about it. It's kind of difficult to do siege engines, especially because they have to kind of fit to where you're putting them, but I'm quite happy with the end product. And another thing I really wanted to do is actually to kind of add an extra layer of fortifications for this and build these kind of small, not really a moat, but a kind of channel where it can be filled with water, which I'll do at a later date. Which a small stream comes down and it kind of adds an extra layer of fortification for it. And you can see me just adding these small bridges for the portcullises on the main gate, which I actually work on a bridge later on. You see me cutting down into this hill so that there's a nice channel for the water to kind of flow down into the lake. So there you can see me filling up the water there, and the finished bridge as well. And just adding some fences there. And here's the kind of finished product and how Dakr is getting on. So there is going to be a break in this series just because next episode I am planning on going on to a massive castle, so I'm going to plan on doing a very long episode for that, and I want to make sure it looks absolutely amazing. But if you guys could keep on commenting and also put in your kind of gamer name, in-game name, because in the castle I'm planning to use the kind of skin servers to actually get your heads in there. But if you like the series, make sure you comment, like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys on the next one.